We're not spending money on that circus. That's what my daughter-in-law said, canceling my 70th birthday party. My son added, "You're too old for that, Mom." I just replied, "No problem." Weeks later, my daughter-in-law wouldn't stop calling me. I smiled and sent her a text. "The circus is closed, and I refuse to be your clown ever again." But let me tell you how I got to that message. Because no one is born with the courage to set boundaries. You learn it after you've been broken enough times. It all started on a Tuesday. I remember because it was market day, and I had just bought purple carnations for the vase in the entryway. I've always believed a house without flowers is like a heart without a beat. I was arranging them when my phone rang. It was Olivia, my daughter-in-law. "Helen, I need to talk to you." Her voice had that tone, the one she used when she wanted something but disguised it as concern. Me, still naive back then, thought maybe she wanted advice about Michael, my son. After all, they had been married for 3 years, and I always tried to be the mother-in-law who stays out of it, the one who respects their space. "Of course, honey, tell me. It's about your birthday." My heart skipped a beat. My 70th birthday was 3 weeks away, and I had been dreaming about this party for months. Nothing fancy, just family. Michael, Olivia, my 2 sisters who live in Ohio, my cousins, a few lifelong neighbors. I wanted to make my famous brisket, the recipe my mom taught me that takes 2 whole days. I wanted to set the table with the embroidered tablecloth I saved for special occasions. I wanted to feel even for just a few hours that my family was complete. Because you see, I raised Michael alone since I was 35. His dad David died of a sudden heart attack while he was repairing the water tank on the roof. One second he was whistling an old country song, the next he was gone. Michael was barely 8 years old. I remember how he clung to my skirt at the funeral, trembling, asking me if his dad was coming back. I worked double shifts at Mr. Eugene's tailor shop for 15 years. My hands still have the marks from the needles, tiny scars that look like constellations. I sewed Sweet 16 dresses, wedding gowns, school uniforms. Every stitch was so Michael could have new shoes, school supplies, a computer when he started high school. I never remarried. Not because I didn't have opportunities. There was a man, Maurice, who owned the hardware store. He asked me out for coffee every Sunday after church. He was kind of a widower, too. But I always thought, what if Michael feels like he's betraying his dad? What if a stranger makes him feel displaced? So I turned down every invitation with a polite smile. Now, at 68, living in the same house David and I built brick by brick, I just wanted one party, one celebration to say, I made it. I got here. "Tell me, Olivia, what's wrong with my birthday?" There was a pause. I heard her inhale like she was bracing herself. "Look, Helen, Michael and I have been thinking, and the truth is we can't organize anything. We're not going to spend money on that circus." Circus. She called my dream a circus. "Besides," she continued, "you're too old for that. Don't you think parties are for young people? You need rest, not stress." I felt something crack inside me, like when you drop a porcelain cup and for a second before it shatters, you see the crack spread in slow motion. But, I thought, I know, but things are tight right now, Helen. We have so many expenses. Maybe we can take you out for a simple lunch some other day, okay? Before I could answer, I heard Michael's voice in the background. "Give me the phone." "Mom," my son said, using that tone when he wanted to be firm but not cruel. "You're too old for that, Mom. A big party will just make you tired. It's better if we just keep it quiet, okay?" I looked at the purple carnations in the vase. They were still dripping water onto the mahogany table that had been my grandmother's, the table where Michael did his homework for 12 years, where we celebrated every single one of his birthdays, with cake and candles, even if the cake was sometimes from the cheapest bakery, because I couldn't afford more. "No problem," I said. My voice sounded calm, too calm. "Perfect, Mom. We love you. We're busy right now. We'll call you later." He hung up. I just stood there, phone in my hand, watching a drop of water from the vase form a small puddle on the wood. I didn't cry, not yet, but something inside me knew in that exact moment that my relationship with my son had just changed forever. What I didn't know was that this phone call was only the beginning, and what Olivia didn't know was that she was waking up a lioness who had been dormant for decades. If you want to know how this story of betrayal became my greatest lesson in dignity, subscribe to the channel, because what comes next, nobody saw coming, not even me. That night I couldn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling in my bedroom, counting the cracks that had formed over the years. 42. I've counted them so many times I know them by heart. I kept thinking about the word Olivia used, circus. When did my life become a ridiculous spectacle for her? I got up at 4 in the morning like always. I made coffee in the old percolator David gave me on our first anniversary. The smell of fresh coffee filled the kitchen, and for a moment, just a moment, I felt at peace. But then I saw the calendar hanging next to the fridge. I had marked my birthday with a red circle and drawn little stars around it like an excited child. How stupid I was. I ripped the page off the calendar, crumpled it up, and threw it in the trash. But I couldn't stop myself from pulling it back out, smoothing the paper with trembling hands, and hiding it in the drawer where I keep old memories. Because that's who I am. I even saved the pain. What hurt most wasn't the party. It was realizing that I had been completely blind for 3 years. Let me back up. Let me tell you how Olivia came into our lives. It was in May, 3 years ago. Michael came home with that nervous smile he gets when he has something important to say. I was watering the plants on the porch. I've always had plants. Geraniums, azaleas, a small basil plant I use for soup. "Mom, I want you to meet someone." And there she was. Olivia, with her perfectly straight hair, her nails painted a pale pink, her white blouse without a single wrinkle. She smelled like expensive perfume, the kind they sell at the department stores in the mall. "It's so nice to meet you, Mrs. Helen. Michael has told me so much about you." Her smile was wide, her teeth perfectly white. She held out her hand, and when I took it, I noticed her skin was soft. Hands that had never scrubbed floors or washed clothes by hand. "Please call me Helen, dear," I said. "We're not formal here." We went inside. Olivia looked at everything with those big, expressive eyes. She stopped in front of the shelf where I keep the family photos. "What a beautiful family," she said, picking up the frame of David, Michael, and me at Myrtle Beach. Michael was 5 and had just lost his first tooth. "You can tell you were very happy." "We were," I answered, and it was true. That first afternoon, Olivia helped me make dinner. I made his favorite casserole green chili chicken. She chopped the tomato and onion for the salad, asking me about recipes, about how I met David, about my work at the tailor shop. "It must be wonderful to create dresses with your own hands," she said. "I don't have that talent. I'm a disaster in the kitchen." She laughed a crystal clear laugh that made Michael look at her like she was the only woman in the world. After dinner, while we were washing the dishes, Olivia said something that seemed so sweet at the time. "Helen, I want you to know I'm going to take good care of Michael, and I hope you'll teach me to be as strong as you are. My mom died when I was young, and I always wanted a mother-in-law who could be like a second mother to me." I was so moved. My eyes teared up. I hugged her right there, my hands full of soap suds. "You're going to be part of this family, honey, and the doors here are always open." How naive I was. The next few months were a dream. Olivia came to visit me every Sunday. She brought pastries from that expensive French bakery near her job. She gave me hand creams, embroidered scarves, chocolates. I saw this and thought of you, Mom. Mom. Back then, the word made me feel important. Included. When Michael announced they were getting married, I cried with happiness. My son had finally found someone. Finally, he wouldn't be alone when I was gone. The wedding was simple. I sewed my own dress, a navy blue one with lace details. Olivia looked radiant in her white gown. During the reception, when Michael danced with me, as is tradition, he whispered in my ear, "Thank you for everything, Mom, for every sacrifice. I promise now I'm going to take care of you." That promise. How it would hurt to remember it later. The first few months of marriage seemed perfect. They still came to the house every Sunday. Olivia would hug me, ask how I was offered to help with the groceries. But then I started to notice things. Small things. One Sunday, Olivia was walking through the living room and stopped at the wooden bookshelf. It's where I keep the family albums and some porcelain figurines I collect. "Oh, Helen, you still have all these old things." "They were my grandmother's," I replied. "They're over 70 years old." Right. It's just, I don't know. I think the house would look so much more modern without so much old-fashioned clutter. Have you ever thought about updating a little? Michael laughed. "Olivia has a great eye for design, Mom. Maybe you should listen to her." I didn't say anything, but something in my chest tightened. Another afternoon we were having coffee. Olivia was looking out the window at the garden. "You know, Helen, this house is awfully big for just you, isn't it?" "Well, yes, it feels empty sometimes," I admitted. "But it's my home. Michael grew up here. All my memories are here." Of course, I'm just saying maintaining a house like this must be expensive. The taxes, the water, the electricity. Have you ever considered something more practical? A little apartment, maybe?" "Olivia," Michael interrupted. "Leave her alone." But I noticed he was looking at the house differently too, like he was evaluating it, calculating. The visits started to spread out. They didn't come every Sunday anymore. First, it was every 2 weeks, then once a month. "We're just so busy, Mom. The schedule is impossible, Helen, you know how it is." I understood, or at least I told myself I did. They're young. They have their own lives. I can't be the suffocating mother-in-law demanding attention. But when I called them, Olivia always answered in a hurry. "Helen, I'm busy right now. I'll call you back." She never called back. And when they did visit, Olivia didn't help in the kitchen anymore. She sat in the living room checking her phone while I cooked alone. She didn't bring pastries anymore. She didn't ask how I was. One afternoon, while I was serving the chili, I had been cooking since morning, I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to hear. They were on the patio. They thought I was in the kitchen, but I had walked over to close the window because it was getting windy. Seriously, Michael, your mom should sell this house. Look at it. It's falling apart, and the land must be worth a fortune now that the neighborhood is so popular. Olivia, I already told you. No, listen, we need the down payment for that condo, and she's here all alone maintaining this giant house. It doesn't make sense. Talk to her. I'm sure she'll understand. It's not that easy. Of course it is. Tell her it's for her own good, that a smaller place is safer for an older person. You'll see. She'll agree. My hand was trembling holding the chili ladle. I closed the window harder than I meant to. When I went back to the table, I smiled as if nothing was wrong. But that night, lying in bed, I understood something I had been denying for months. Olivia never saw me as family. She saw me as a resource. And my son, the boy I raised alone, the one who promised to take care of me, he was letting it happen. But I still hadn't seen anything. The mask was only beginning to slip, and when it finally fell off completely, I would realize I had been living with a stranger. Exactly 9 days passed after the call where they canceled my birthday. 9 days where I heard nothing from them. Not a call, not a text, nothing. I continued my routine. I got up, made my coffee, watered my plants, watched my afternoon soaps, but there was something different about me, a kind of constant alert. Like when you know it's going to rain, but the sky is still clear. On the 10th day, Michael called. Mom, what are you doing Saturday? Nothing special, son. Why? We want to invite you to dinner at our house. Olivia is going to cook. Olivia cooking. That was new. In 3 years of marriage, I'd never seen her make anything more complicated than a sandwich. Of course, son, I'll be there. Great, around 7. And Mom, dress up a little. That last phrase stuck with me. Dress up for a family dinner at their house. On Saturday, I put on my sky blue blouse, the one with embroidery on the collar. I put my hair up in a low bun the way my mother taught me. I wore the pearl earrings David gave me for our 10th anniversary. I looked in the mirror and wondered why I had butterflies in my stomach. Butterflies of fear. I took the bus to their neighborhood. They live in a new gated community, the kind with guard shacks and perfectly paved streets. Their house is nice, 2 stories with a small front yard. When they opened the door, I noticed something strange. The table was set, but not casually. There was a tablecloth I didn't recognize. Wine glasses, napkins folded into flowers, and only 3 places. Mom, come in. So glad you're here. Michael kissed my cheek. He smelled like that expensive cologne he wears now, not the kind I used to give him for his birthdays. Olivia came out of the kitchen drying her hands on a dish towel. She was wearing a black dress, perfect makeup heels, to be in her own home on a Saturday night. Helen, welcome. Sit down, sit down. She pointed to the chair in the middle. They sat on either side of me as if they were surrounding me. Dinner started quietly. Olivia had made chicken and mushroom sauce. It was dry and the sauce tasted like it came from a can of cream soup, but I ate without a word. We talked about nothing, the weather, the news, the traffic, but I could feel the tension. It was floating in the air like smoke. It was after dessert that everything changed. Michael cleared his throat. He exchanged a look with Olivia. She nodded, encouraging him. Mom, we want to talk to you about something important. I put my fork down. My hands felt cold. Tell me, son. You see, Olivia and I have been thinking about our future. We want to buy a bigger condo. This place is getting small and, well, we're thinking about having kids soon. My heart leaped. Grandchildren. That's wonderful. Oh, Michael, how exciting. How can I help? Michael stared at his plate. Olivia took control of the conversation. Look, Helen, the condo we want costs $600,000. We're already approved for the loan, but we need $120,000 for the down payment. $120,000. The number hung in the air like a sentence. That's a lot of money, I said slowly. It is, Olivia continued, leaning toward me. That's why we thought, well, you live all alone in that big house. It must be exhausting to maintain. The taxes, the utilities, the repairs. And at your age, I'm 68, Olivia, not 80. Right. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying a smaller place would be more practical for you, safer. And the money you get from the sale could help us with the down payment. You could rent a nice modern apartment, no maintenance. I looked at my son. I waited for him to say something, to defend me, to say this was crazy. But Michael just stared at his wine glass, swirling it slowly. It's your house, Mom, he finally said without looking me in the eye. But we're your family, and families support each other, right? Think about your grandkids. giving them a good home. Grandkids that didn't even exist. Grandkids they were using as bait. That house, I said, and my voice sounded firmer than I expected. Your father and I built it, brick by brick. You were born there. Every memory of my life with David is there. 35 years of my life are there. Memories are in the heart, Helen, not in the walls. Olivia smiled at me, but her eyes were cold. Besides, think about it. What are you going to do with that house when you can't take care of it anymore, when you're old and need help? It's better to sell it now, while it's still worth good money. Old. The word hit me like a slap. I don't mean to offend you, she continued. I'm just being realistic. You're not going to live forever, and when you're gone, that house is just going to be sold anyway. Wouldn't you rather see your son happy, settled with his own family? The silence that followed was thick. I could hear the ticking of the wall clock, the hum of the fridge, my own breathing. I need to think about it, I said. Of course, Michael answered quickly, as if he'd been waiting for that. Take your time, Mom. There's no rush. But Olivia added, although the owner of the condo is only giving us 3 weeks to get the down payment, after that, he's selling to someone else. 3 weeks, the same amount of time until my birthday. The birthday they canceled because they didn't want to spend money on that circus. But they were perfectly fine with me selling my house, my entire life. I stood up from the table. My legs were shaking, but I wasn't going to let them see. I'm leaving. I have to be up early tomorrow. We'll drive you, Mom. No, I'll take the bus. I need some fresh air. I walked to the door. Olivia caught up to me, putting a hand on my shoulder. Helen, think about it. It's for the good of everyone. You'd be winning too. I looked her in the eyes. For the first time in 3 years, I really saw her. I saw the ambition, the coldness, the manipulation. Good night, Olivia. On the bus ride home, as the city lights passed by the window, I realized something terrible. My son was asking me to sell my life to finance his. And what was worse, he saw it as something normal, as something I should do. I got home after 10 o'clock. I turned on the lights in the living room. I saw the mahogany furniture from my grandmother, the photos on the walls, the bookshelf full of memories, the rocking chair where I nursed Michael for months. I sat in that rocking chair, and finally, after days of holding it in, I cried. I cried for my naivete for believing Olivia liked me. I cried for my son who had become a stranger. I cried for the sacrifices I made that now seemed worthless. But beneath the tears, something else was growing. Anger, still small, but real, because I had given everything, absolutely everything, and now they wanted the only thing I had left. My phone vibrated. A text from Olivia. Helen, I hope we didn't make you uncomfortable. We just want what's best for everyone. Think about it with love. Kisses. Kisses. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath, and for the first time in my life, I thought, enough. Monday morning, 7 o'clock sharp, my phone rang. It was Olivia. Good morning, Helen. Did you have breakfast? Sleep well. Her voice was sweet, too sweet, like when you talk to a child who won't take their medicine. Good morning, Olivia. Yes, thank you. Oh, good. So have you thought about what we discussed on Saturday? It had barely been 36 hours. I'm still thinking, honey. It's a big decision. Of course. It's just that time is ticking, you know. We don't want to lose this opportunity. The condo is a gem. It has a view of a beautiful park. Imagine your grandkids playing there. There they were again, the imaginary grandkids. Yes, it sounds nice. So, do you think you'll have an answer by the weekend? That way we can start moving on everything quickly. Olivia, it's only been 2 days. I know, Helen. Sorry to be pushy. I'm just so excited. Michael and I have been dreaming about this for months. You understand, right? She hung up before I could answer. Tuesday, she called at 8 in the morning. Wednesday at 7:30. Thursday, twice. Once in the morning and once in the afternoon. Always the same song. Always the same pressure disguised as enthusiasm. Have you thought about it, Helen? Helen, I found a gorgeous rental near us. Want to go see it? The seller pressured me today. He says he has other offers. Friday afternoon, I was at the market buying tomatoes when I saw a car park in front of my house. It was Michael's, but he wasn't alone. There was a man with a briefcase, gray suit, blue tie. I quickened my pace. When I got there, I found Olivia at my door with the man. She was ringing the doorbell insistently. Olivia, what are you doing here? She turned with a huge smile. Oh, Helen, thank goodness you're here. Look, I brought Mr. Duncan. He's a real estate agent. I thought it would be good for him to explain how much you can get for your little house, just so you have all the information right. Little house. Now my home was a little house. Mr. Duncan held out his hand. Ma'am, a pleasure. Your daughter-in-law hired me to do a preliminary appraisal. With your permission, I'd like to take a quick look at the property, just the exterior, of course. Then I can give you an estimate. I didn't authorize any appraisal. Of course not, Helen. Olivia put her arm through mine. It's just informational, so you know your options. No commitment. I looked at Mr. Duncan, then at Olivia. Her eyes were sparkling with something that wasn't love. It was something else. Hunger. "No thank you. When I need a real estate agent, I'll hire one myself." Olivia's smile faltered for a second. Just a second. "As you wish, Helen. We were just trying to help." They left. But the message was clear. They weren't giving up. That night, Michael called. His voice sounded tired. "Mom, Olivia told me you turned away the appraiser." "Michael, I never asked for an appraiser." "I know, but you're making this harder than it needs to be." "Harder for whose son?" Silence. "For everyone, Mom." "Look, I know it's your house and it has sentimental value, but you have to be practical. Think about the future, your old age. Who's going to take care of you when you can't manage on your own? And selling my house will make you want to take care of me." "That's not it. It's just, Olivia is very stressed. The doctor says stress can affect, well, we think we might be expecting. It's not certain yet, but there it was. The final bait, a baby. Maybe, perhaps, possibly. Son, if Olivia is pregnant, I'm very happy. But that doesn't change my situation." "Your situation." His voice got louder. "Mom, we are your situation. We're your family. If you really loved us, you would help us. But it seems like that house matters more to you than your own son." Those words cut through me like knives. "Michael, forget it. I thought I could count on you. I thought after everything I did for you, you'd do this for me. But I was wrong. Everything you did for me. Michael, I raised you alone. I worked double shifts for 15 years. Yes, Mom, I know. You've reminded me 1,000 times. I sacrificed my life for you. I worked so hard for you. But I never asked you for any of that. You decided to have me. You decided not to remarry. Those were your decisions." He hung up. I stood there with the phone in my hand, shaking. The tears fell, and I couldn't stop them. Did my son just say that I remind him of my sacrifices too much? That he never asked me to raise him? I sat in the rocking chair. Outside, the night was dark. Not even the neighborhood dogs were barking. Everything was silent. I thought about all the nights I stayed awake when Michael had a fever, putting cold cloths on his forehead. I thought of the times I skipped meals so he could have 3 a day. I thought of the shoes I mended over and over because I couldn't afford new ones. And now he was telling me he never asked for it. On Saturday, Olivia showed up again. This time, she had brochures. "Helen, look. I found some beautiful apartments for rent. This one has 1 bedroom, a kitchenette. It's on the 1st floor, so you don't have to climb stairs. And it's only $650 a month. With what you make from your house, you can pay rent for years and still have plenty left over to help us." I took the brochures. I looked at them. Apartments the size of my living room. Cold white walls. No garden. No history. "Olivia, I need more time." Her face hardened. The mask was slipping faster and faster. "Time is what we don't have, Helen. I lose the condo on Monday. Do you understand Monday? In 3 days. And all because you can't let go of an old house full of junk. That junk is my life. Your life is over." She looked me straight in the eye. "I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Your husband died over 30 years ago. Michael grew up and has his own family now. You're clinging to a past that doesn't exist anymore. And meanwhile, we, who are your present, are begging you for help." "Begging." I repeated the word. "Is that what you're doing? Begging? What else do you want us to do? Get on our knees. I want you to leave me alone." The words came out before I could stop them. Olivia froze. Then she laughed, a short, bitter laugh. "Fine. We'll leave you alone. Enjoy your house. Alone. Enjoy your memories, because that's all you're going to have." She left, slamming the door. I sat on the sofa. My heart was beating so loud I could feel it in my ears. I picked up my phone. I dialed a number I hadn't used in months. "Linda, it's Helen. I need to talk to you." Linda had been my friend for 20 years. We met at the market. She sells flowers. She's one of those women who tells you the truth with no sugarcoating. "Helen, what's wrong? You sound strange." "I think my son and daughter-in-law are trying to steal my house." There was a pause. "I'm on my way." Linda arrived 20 minutes later with a bag of donuts and a thermos of strong black coffee. "When there's trouble, you have to eat," she said, putting everything on the table. "Now tell me everything, and don't skip a single part." I told her. From the call canceling my birthday to Olivia's visit that morning, Linda listened in silence, chewing her donut. Her eyes narrowed behind her glasses. When I finished, she set her mug down with a thud. "That girl is a snake, and your son is a fool." "Linda, no, Helen, we have to call it like it is. That woman is squeezing you dry and Michael is letting her. You know what smells fishy to me? That they suddenly need $120,000 so urgently. I sell flowers, but I wasn't born yesterday. Something else is going on." "You think so?" "I don't think, I know. Look, my cousin Rosie works at a law firm. Her nephew is a lawyer. His name is Robert. He's a good guy and discreet. Want me to call him? He can do some digging. See if your suspicions are right. I hesitated. Investigate my own son. It sounded so cold, so calculating. But then I remembered Michael's voice saying, I never asked you to raise me. Call him. Robert came by on Tuesday afternoon. He was a young man about 35 with round glasses and a kind smile. He sat in my living room and took out a notepad. Mrs. Helen, I understand you're in a delicate situation. Tell me exactly what you need. I explained it all again. He took notes, nodded, asked specific questions. Do you have their full legal names? Do you know where they work? Have they ever asked you to sign any documents? I answered everything. Robert closed his notepad. Give me 1 week. I'm going to check a few things. Public records, background, basic credit situation. All legal. Don't worry. And in the meantime, ma'am, one piece of advice. Do not sign anything. Absolutely nothing. Even if your son begs you. Even if they cry. Even if they threaten you. Understood. I nodded. Robert left. I was left with a strange feeling. Half relief, half guilt. What kind of mother investigates her son? But then my phone vibrated. Another text from Olivia. Helen, Monday is the deadline. Michael didn't sleep at all last night. He's so worried. I don't know if you want to carry that on your conscience. Think about it. I deleted the message. The next few days were quieter. They didn't call. They didn't visit. It was like they had given me a break. I took the opportunity to do something I'd been putting off, a deep clean of the garden. The May rains had made the weeds grow tall, and some of the rose bushes looked neglected. I was pruning the white rose bush I planted when Michael was born, when my shovel hit something metal. Strange. I dug a little more. It was a box, a rusty metal box the size of a shoebox, buried under the rosebush. With trembling hands, I pulled it out. It was sealed with an old padlock that broke with a good pull. Inside were rolled-up documents protected in plastic. I unrolled them on the dining room table. It was the original deed to the house, the one David and I signed 40 years ago, and there was something handwritten by David on the last page. This house is for Helen, built with our love and effort. Don't ever let anyone take it from you, my love. Tears started to fall on the paper. I had to wipe them away quickly so I wouldn't ruin the ink. But there was more in the box. Letters. Love letters David wrote me when we were dating. His tight handwriting, his words clumsy but sincere. Helen, you are stronger than 10 men. Never let anyone make you feel small. And at the bottom of the box, wrapped in a thick plastic bag, was money. Old bills. I counted it with shaking hands. $25,000. A note came with the money, also in David's handwriting. For our old age together, honey. For when we can't work anymore. So you never have to depend on anyone. I love you, David. I collapsed into the chair. David had been saving in secret. For years. For me. For us. And I never knew because he died before he could tell me. I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried since his funeral. I cried for the man who loved me so much. That even after death he was still taking care of me. I cried for all the years I lost without him. I cried for the loneliness. But among the tears, something else was being born. Clarity. David had left me this for a reason. Not just the money, the words. Never let anyone make you feel small. And that was exactly what Olivia and Michael were doing. Making me feel small, useless, in the way. I dried my tears. I put the deed in a safe place. I counted the money again, just to be sure. $25,000 exactly. It wasn't enough for the down payment they wanted, but it was enough for something more important. It was enough to defend myself. On Thursday, Robert called me. Mrs. Helen, I need to see you. Can Linda be there too? What I found? It's better if we talk in person. An hour later, the three of us were sitting in my living room. Robert opened his briefcase and took out several papers. Ma'am, what I'm about to tell you is not easy to hear. But you need to know. My heart sped up. Your son Michael doesn't need your financial help. In fact, he's in a very good financial position. 3 months ago, he received a sales bonus from his company for $150,000. What? There's more. Your daughter-in-law, Olivia, has credit card debt totaling $75,000. Designer clothes, expensive restaurants, 2 trips to Cancun last year, and she is not pregnant. I checked her social media. 2 days ago, she posted a photo at a nightclub drinking a beer. A pregnant woman wouldn't do that. Linda let out a word I won't repeat. Robert continued, There's something else. I found messages on a public forum Olivia participates in. She talks about convincing her mother-in-law to sell her house, and I quote, The old woman is about to cave. When she sells, my mom and I will split what's left after the down payment. The world stopped. Her mom, yes. Olivia planned to give a portion of the money to her mother. This was never just about the condo. It was a business deal between the two of them. I got up. I walked to the window. Outside, the neighborhood kids were playing ball in the street. The sun was shining, life went on, but I felt like something inside me had broken for good. Does Michael know about this? My voice was hoarse. I can't confirm that, but he knows they don't need the money. I'm sure of that. Linda took my hand. Helen, that girl is trying to rob you, and your son is letting her. I looked at the deed I found under the rosebush. I looked at David's note. Never let anyone make you feel small. I turned to Robert. What can I do? Robert smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a lawyer who knows he has the winning cards. Mrs. Helen, I can do many things, but first I need you to answer something. Do you want to defend yourself, or do you want to fight back? Linda squeezed my hand. I thought about all the texts, the calls, the word circus, Michael telling me I never asked to be raised, Olivia calling me old, and for the first time in my 68 years, I said something I never thought I'd say. I want to fight back. Robert pulled more papers from his briefcase. Perfect. Then I need you to formally authorize me to act on your behalf. We're going to do this right, legally, so they can't turn this around on you. I signed the documents he put in front of me. My hand was shaking, but the signature came out clear. Now, Robert continued, I need access to any document you have related to your house. The deed, tax receipts, utility bills. I also need to know if they've ever asked you to sign anything, even if it seemed unimportant. Only the deed I found buried, and I've never signed anything for them. Good. That gives us the advantage. Your house is fully in your name. No liens, no debts. No one can force you to sell it. But Olivia is going to try to pressure you more, and when she does, I need you to record the conversations. Record. Your phone has a voice recorder, right? Every time they call or visit, record everything. It's legal as long as you are part of the conversation. Those recordings can be evidence if we need it. Linda nodded. I'll show you how, Helen. It's easy. In the meantime, Robert said, I'm going to dig deeper. I want to know exactly how much money they have, what else they're hiding, and if there's anything else behind this. Do I have your authorization? Yes. I want to know the whole truth. Robert left. Linda stayed with me, showing me how to use the phone's recorder, making me practice until I got it right. Helen, one more thing, she said before leaving. You have to be strong. When you find out everything, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. But remember, you didn't cause this. They chose to treat you this way. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Michael's face as a child. When he'd wake me up in the middle of the night to say he had a nightmare, I would hold him, sing to him softly until he fell back asleep. At what point did that boy become this man Friday morning as expected? Olivia called. This time, I turned on the recorder. Helen, good morning. Look, I know we've been pressuring you a lot and I apologize, but we're truly desperate. We lose the condo on Monday and, well, Michael is devastated. He says you don't love him anymore. He says that, yes, he cried last night, Helen. Your son cried because of you. He says that after everything he's done, you're rejecting him in his moment of need. The words were perfect, the tone dramatic, but I already knew the truth. Olivia, are you pregnant? There was a pause. Very short, but I caught it. Well, it's not certain yet, but I have symptoms. That's why we need the bigger condo. For the baby. A lie. It was all a lie. And does Michael really need my help? Doesn't he have money saved? Another pause. Helen, you know how things are. Everything is so expensive. Of course, Michael works hard, but it's not enough. That's why we need you, because a mother always supports her children, right? Let me think about it this weekend. I'll give you a final answer on Monday. Monday. But Helen? Monday, Olivia. That's my final word. I hung up. I saved the recording with the date and time. On Saturday, Robert showed up again. He was carrying a thick folder. Mrs. Helen, I found everything, and it's worse than I thought. He sat across from me. He opened the folder. Michael didn't just get that $150,000 bonus. He also has another $30,000 in an investment account. He only needs to scrape together about $30,000 more for the down payment. He could easily get a personal loan. He doesn't need to sell your house. Then why? Because it's easier to get the money from you than for them to go into debt. And there's something worse. Robert took out screenshots from a phone. I managed to access public conversations between Olivia and her mother on social media. Look at this, I read, and with every word I felt my heart get smaller. Mom, did you convince the old woman yet? Remember, we need that cash for the business. Olivia, almost. She's more stubborn than I thought, but she's caving. I sold her the story about the baby. LOL. Mom, you're the best. When you get the money, pass me my cut. $20,000 like we agreed. Deal, honey. Though I can't stand the old hag. Always with her memories and her old photos. She drives me crazy. Just hang in there, Mom. Once she sells, you won't have to see her much. The letters blurred. I was crying without realizing it. Keep reading, Robert said gently. Olivia, does Michael know about your cut? Mom, no. He thinks it's all for us. Better that way. Men just complicate things. Olivia, I've already brainwashed him anyway. Now he also thinks his mom should sell. It was easier than I thought. Linda, who had arrived while I was reading, put her arm around me. I couldn't stop shaking. There's more, Robert said. Olivia's debts are from a failed business attempt. She and her mother wanted to open a boutique. They took out loans, bought expensive merchandise, but never sold anything. Now they're drowning in debt. Her mother lost her house last year. That's why she's renting. And they want me to lose my house to save them. Exactly. The condo they want to buy does exist, but the urgency is a lie. It's still available. The seller has no other buyers. I verified that too. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand. And Michael, does he know all of this? I can't prove it completely, but I found this. He showed me another message. This one was between Michael and Olivia. Michael, my mom is hesitating. Maybe we should try something else. Olivia, no. We've invested too much time. Your mom is stubborn, but she'll break. She just needs more pressure. Let me handle this. Michael, I don't know, Liv. I feel bad. Olivia, you feel bad for asking your mom for help. Seriously, she lived her whole life in that house. It was her turn. Now it's our turn. Stop being so soft. I closed my eyes. My son knew. Maybe he didn't know about the deal with her mother. Maybe he didn't know about the $20,000. But he knew they were pressuring me unfairly, and he allowed it. Mrs. Helen, Robert said, with this evidence we can do several things. We can report them for attempted fraud against an elder. We can file for a restraining order. We can… No. They both looked at me surprised. I don't want to send them to jail. I don't want lawsuits. I want something better. What do you want? I dried the last of my tears. Inside me something had changed. The pain was turning into something else. Determination. I want them to feel what I felt. I want them to understand what they tried to do to me. I want justice, but not from a judge. I want life to hand them the bill. Linda smiled. That's my Helen. Robert nodded slowly. I understand. And do you have a plan? Not yet. But on Monday, I'm going to give them my answer, and it's going to be an answer they never forget. That night, I took out the metal box again. I read all of David's letters. When I got to the last one, I found one I hadn't seen before. It was stuck to the bottom of the box. My dearest Helen, if you're reading this, it's because I'm gone. I want you to know you were the best part of my life, but I also want you to know something important. You are a lioness, not a pet. Don't let anyone, not even our son, make you feel like you are worth any less than you are. You are strong, stronger than me, stronger than the world. Never forget it. I love you forever. David. I folded the letter carefully. I won't forget my love, I whispered. I promise. On Sunday, I spent all day thinking, planning, preparing, because Monday wasn't going to be just any day. On Monday, the circus was finally closing. Monday dawned with a gray sky, the kind of sky that threatens rain but never lets it fall. I got up early as always, made my coffee, watered the plants. I put on my burgundy blouse, the one David said made me look elegant. I put my hair up. I put on a little peach-colored lipstick I almost never wear. If I was going to face them, I was going to look good. At 10 in the morning, Olivia called. Helen, good morning. So, have you thought about it? Yes, Olivia, I've thought about it. Oh, good. And I need to talk to both of you, with Michael and you, in person. Perfect. Can you come over today? We're home. All right, I'll go this afternoon. Better yet, come for lunch, Helen. We can talk calmly. I hung up. I looked at my reflection in the hallway mirror. I looked different. I was no longer the scared woman from 2 weeks ago. There was something new in my eyes. I arrived at their house at 2 in the afternoon. I rang the bell. Michael opened the door with a nervous smile. Mom, come in. So glad you came. He kissed my cheek. He smelled like that expensive cologne. In the living room, Olivia was finishing setting the table. She had made breaded chicken with salad. Nothing elaborate, but it looked presentable. Helen, welcome. Please sit. I sat down. They sat on either side of me just like that first time, as if they were cornering me. We ate in an uncomfortable silence. I chewed slowly, watching them. Olivia fidgeted in her chair. Michael wouldn't look me in the eye. When we finished, Olivia wiped her mouth with her napkin and smiled. Well, Helen, you have us in suspense. What did you decide? Before I answer, I want to ask you something. Anything, Michael said quickly. Do you two love me? They looked at each other confused. Of course we do, Mom. Why would you ask that? Because I need to understand. I need to understand how someone who loves me asks me to sell the only thing I have. How someone who loves me cancels my birthday calling it a circus. How someone who loves me calls me old and tells me my life is over. Olivia turned pale. Helen, I never… Yes, you did, Olivia.
You said it. And Michael, you told me I never asked you to raise me, that those were my decisions. Mom, I was angry, and that justifies it. Anger justifies cruelty. A heavy silence fell. Look, I continued, I came to give you my answer. I am not selling my house. Olivia went rigid. What? I am not selling my house. It's my home. It's where my life is, my memories, my history. And no one, not even you,
is going to force me to leave it. Michael ran a hand through his hair. Mom, but we were counting on that. We already made plans. Plans based on my sacrifice. Again, always my sacrifice. Olivia stood up abruptly. The sweetness was gone from her face. You know what, Helen? You're right. Your house, your life, your decision. But don't ever ask us to take you to the doctor again. Don't ever ask us to keep you company. Don't wait for us on Sundays, because we're not coming. Olivia, Michael tried to stop her. No, Michael, I'm tired of this. Your mother is selfish. She only thinks about herself. We ask her for help one time, and she refuses. Fine, let her stay alone with her old house and her old junk. I stood up too. I wasn't shaking anymore. There were no more tears. Selfish, I'm the selfish one. I worked double shifts for 15 years so my son could have everything. I gave up my life, finding love again, my own dreams. And now that I'm 68, and all I ask is to be left in peace with the little I have left, I'm selfish. That was your decision, Olivia snapped. Nobody forced you. You're right. It was my decision. And now my decision is to tell you no. And if that makes me selfish, fine. I'd rather be selfish than stupid. I walked to the door. Michael caught up to me. Mom, wait. Don't leave like this. We can talk. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw a man I no longer recognized. There's nothing to talk about, son. You already made your decision, and I've made mine. Mom, you're going to regret this. Those words stopped me cold. I turned around. Are you threatening me? It's not a threat. It's a fact. When you need help, when you're sick, when you're alone, we won't be there. Something inside me broke for good. Not with sadness, with liberation. Then I guess I'm already alone. Because a son who threatens me, a son who only wants me for my house, that son is already gone. I left. I didn't run. I walked. With my back straight, my head held high. But as soon as I turned the corner, I had to stop. I leaned against a wall, breathing deeply. I had done it. I had told them no, and it hurt. God, it hurt. But it also felt good, like taking off tight shoes after a long day. I got home as it was getting dark. Linda was waiting for me on the porch. How did it go? I told them no. She hugged me, and there in my friend's arms I finally cried. But they were different tears, not of defeat, of relief. You did the right thing, Helen. I know, but it hurts. Of course it hurts. He's your son. But sometimes loving yourself hurts more than loving others. And that's okay. That night, lying in my bed, I thought about everything. About the years I dedicated to Michael, the sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the unconditional love I gave him. And I understood something important. I didn't regret any of it. I regretted expecting him to value it, because a mother's love doesn't expect a reward, but it also doesn't accept abuse. Tuesday morning, I woke up with a strange feeling. Peace. For the first time in weeks. Peace. I was eating breakfast when my phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Helen. Yes. Who is this? My name is Diane Portillo. I'm your son Michael's neighbor. I'm sorry to bother you. I got your number from Ms. Sue at the corner store. I need to talk to you. It's important. Did something happen? Not over the phone. Can you meet me at the Arches Cafe, the one on the corner by your son's house? Something in her voice alerted me. Today at 5, I'll be there. At 5 o'clock sharp, I walked into the cafe. Diane was a woman in her 40s, elegant with short hair. She greeted me with a sad smile. Mrs. Helen, thank you for coming. Look, I don't know if I should get involved, but my conscience won't let me rest. What is it? This past Saturday, Olivia hosted a party at their house. She invited neighbors, friends, family. She said it was a surprise party for you, for your birthday. My birthday, the one they canceled. A surprise party. Yes, I went because I thought it was sweet. But then, Ma'am Olivia took the microphone and said something I thought was very strange. What did she say? She recorded it. Listen. Diane pressed play on her phone, and I heard Olivia's voice clear and happy. Thank you all for coming to celebrate my mother-in-law Helen on her 70th birthday. I want to take this chance to share some wonderful news. My mother-in-law, in an immense act of love, has decided to sell her house to help us with the down payment on our new condo. It's her way of showing us how much she loves us and how much our future matters to her. Let's give a round of applause for this generous woman. Applause. Lots of applause. And then Michael's voice. Thanks, Mom. We knew we could count on you. Diane turned off the phone. Ma'am, everyone thought you had agreed. Olivia told everyone you were happy to help them. Is that true? My hands were shaking. No, I never agreed. I told them no. Diane closed her eyes. I figured. That's why I had to talk to you. Ma'am, your daughter-in-law used you. In front of 50 people, she used you to make herself look good. I was silent. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Do you have that full recording? Yes. Can you send it to me? Of course. Give me your number. That night in my house, I listened to the full recording. Over and over. The applause. The congratulations. Olivia's words. They used me. They humiliated me publicly. They held me up as an example of generosity when I had never agreed to anything. And Michael was there, smiling, accepting congratulations for a lie. I called Robert. Robert, I've changed my mind. I don't just want to defend myself anymore. What do you want? I want them to pay. I want justice. And I want it now. Robert arrived at my house at 9 o'clock Wednesday morning. He had another folder thicker than the last. Mrs. Helen, I heard the recording you sent. This changes everything. What they did is defamation and using your name under false pretenses. But I have a better idea than a lawsuit. What? We are going to give them exactly what they want. Or at least we're going to make them think they're getting it. Linda, who was also there, leaned forward. Explain yourself, young man. Robert smiled. It was a smile that was a little scary. We're going to set up a meeting. We'll tell them Mrs. Helen has finally agreed to sell. We'll have witnesses, evidence, everything ready. And when they show their true colors in front of everyone, that's when we act. I don't understand, I said. Ma'am, they humiliated you publicly by saying you agreed to help. Now we are going to expose them publicly by showing who they really are. But I need your permission, and I need you to be strong. It's going to hurt. I thought about the recording, about Michael accepting congratulations for a lie, about Olivia using my name to look good. Let's do it. I spent the next few days preparing. Robert explained the plan step by step. I just had to follow his instructions. On Friday, I called Michael. I turned on the recorder. Son, it's me. There was a surprised pause. Mom, I wasn't expecting your call. I know. Look, I've been thinking a lot about what happened on Monday, and I think you're right. What? The house is too big for me. I'm getting old, and you're my family. If selling it helps you, then I'm going to do it. Silence. A long silence. Mom, are you serious? Yes, son, I'm serious, but I have one condition. What? I want it to be formal, with a notary, with witnesses. I want to do this right, and I want you and Olivia to come to my house on Saturday at 4 p.m. We'll sign everything then. Mom, thank you. Thank you. I knew you'd understand. I love you. Those words, I love you, sounded so empty now. I'll see you Saturday, son. I hung up. I saved the recording. Linda hugged me. Helen, are you sure about this? More sure than I've ever been. Saturday dawned bright and sunny. Ironic. The important days of my life had always been cloudy or rainy, but this day, the day it would all end, the sun was shining. Robert arrived at 2 with 2 other people, a notary public named Mr. Estrada and a woman he introduced as his legal assistant, Monica. Mrs. Helen, Mr. Estrada is completely trustworthy. Monica is going to film everything. Ready. Linda and her husband Bill were also there as witnesses. And Diane, the neighbor, who had shown me the party recording. She had agreed to come when I asked. At 4 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. It was Michael and Olivia. She was wearing a new dress. Perfect makeup, a huge smile. Huge. Michael wore an ironed shirt and looked nervous but happy. Mom, Michael hugged me tightly. Thank you for reconsidering. You don't know what this means to us. Olivia hugged me too. Helen, you are an angel, truly, an angel. I pointed to the living room. Come in. We have to make this formal. When they walked in and saw all the people, Olivia stopped cold. Who are they? Mr. Estrada is a notary public. Robert is my lawyer. Linda and Bill are witnesses. And Diane... Well, Diane is someone who has something interesting to show you. Olivia's smile began to fade. Your lawyer, Mom? Why do you need a lawyer? Michael looked at me confused. Please sit down. They sat on the sofa. The rest of us formed a semicircle around them. Monica had her camera pointed. Before we sign anything, I began, I want to clarify a few points. Of course, Mom. Whatever you need. First, I want you to explain something. 2 weeks ago, you threw a party. A party where you told 50 people that I had agreed to sell my house. Why did you do that? Olivia turned white. Michael looked at his wife. Olivia, we assumed you would agree. We were just anticipating things. Anticipating. Interesting word. Diane, can you play the recording? Diane took out her phone. Olivia's voice filled the living room. My mother-in-law, in an immense act of love, has decided to sell her house to help us. Michael closed his eyes. Olivia jumped to her feet. This is a trap. No, Olivia, this is the truth. Now sit down, because we have much more to talk about. Robert opened his folder. Mrs. Olivia, can you confirm that you have credit card debts totaling $75,000? That's private. Can you confirm that you plan to give your mother $20,000 from the sale? Olivia froze. Michael stared at her. What? And Mr. Michael, Robert continued, can you confirm that you received a $150,000 bonus 3 months ago? My son looked at me. The confusion was gone. Now it was fear. Mom, I can explain. No need, son. Robert already explained everything to me. Olivia's debts, the failed business with her mother, the bonus you received, the pregnancy that never existed, everything. Olivia tried to run. Bill blocked the door. Nobody leaves until we're finished, Linda said in a firm voice. Mrs. Helen, the notary, Mr. Estrada said, do you confirm that you never had any intention of selling your house? That's correct. Never. And do you confirm that you were pressured, manipulated, and publicly defamed by these individuals? I confirm, Estrada wrote in his documents. Then I must inform you, Mr. Michael and Mrs. Olivia, that what you attempted to do constitutes several crimes: attempted dispossession by deception, financial elder abuse, and defamation. Mrs. Helen has every right to press criminal charges. Olivia started to cry, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of rage. This is ridiculous. He's her son. We just asked for help. No, Olivia, I said, standing up. You didn't ask for help. You tried to rob me. There's a difference. Michael had his head in his hands. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know everything. Olivia told me. What did she tell you, son? That I was old, that my life was over, that you had to pressure me because I have recordings of you saying horrible things to me too. I took out my phone. I played his voice. I never asked you for any of that. Those were your decisions. Michael broke down. He began to sob, not like a man, like a child. Forgive me, Mom. Please. Robert cleared his throat. Mrs. Helen, do you wish to proceed legally? Everyone looked at me. Olivia with hatred, Michael with desperation, Linda with pride, Diane with curiosity. I thought of David, of his letters, of his words. You are a lioness. I'm not going to put my son in jail, I said finally, but I am setting conditions. What conditions? Michael asked, his voice raw. 1. I don't want to see either of you for 1 full year. 0 contact, 0 calls, 0 visits. Mom. 2. You will both post a public apology on your social media, admitting you lied about my agreement to sell the house, admitting you pressured me unfairly. Olivia stood up again. Never. 3. I continued, not looking at her. Michael will go to therapy, individual therapy, to understand why he allowed his wife to treat me this way. I accept, Michael said immediately. And 4. If you ever approach me again with intentions to manipulate or hurt me, Robert will proceed with all possible legal charges. And this time, there will be no mercy. The notary wrote everything down. Do you accept these terms? Michael nodded. I accept all of it, Mom. Everything. Olivia crossed her arms. This is abuse. No, Olivia, I said, looking her directly in the eyes. Abuse is what you did to me. This is justice. And if you don't accept, the lawyer will file the criminal complaint right now. Robert held up the papers. They're all ready. Just need your signature, Mrs. Helen. Olivia gritted her teeth. I accept. Sign. They each signed. Linda and Bill signed as witnesses. The notary stamped everything. It's done, Robert said. This is legally binding. If you break any term, we proceed. Michael approached me. He tried to take my hand. I pulled it away. Mom, please let me explain. You have 1 year, Michael. 1 year to think about what kind of man you want to be. The one who lets his mother be abused, or the one David and I tried to raise. Mom, please. Now leave, both of you. They left. Olivia stormed out first, furious. Michael stopped at the door. He looked at me one last time, and he left too. When the door closed, I collapsed onto the sofa. Linda held me. I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried in years. But these tears were different. They were tears of liberation. The following days were strange, silent. No 7 a.m. phone calls, no texts asking if I'd thought about it, no surprise visits with real estate agents, just silence. And that silence, which would have scared me before now, felt like a gift. On Tuesday afternoon, Linda came by with pastries and coffee. How are you, Helen? Better. Much better. Did you see social media? I shook my head. I barely used Facebook, and only to see pictures of my cousin's kids. Linda pulled out her phone. Michael posted this yesterday. She showed me the screen. It was a long post with a photo of Michael alone. No, Olivia. I want to offer a public apology. A few weeks ago, my wife and I hosted a gathering where we announced that my mother had decided to sell her house to help us financially. That information was false. My mother never agreed to any such thing. We pressured her, manipulated her, and used her name without her permission. My mother is a dignified woman who did not deserve that treatment. I publicly apologize for my behavior. I am ashamed of the person I became. I am sorry, Mom. I read the words 3 times. There were 847 comments. Most were supportive of me. Some criticized Michael harshly. Others, Olivia. Did Olivia post anything? Linda checked her profile. Look, Olivia's message was shorter, colder. I apologize for the confusion regarding my mother-in-law's situation. It was a misunderstanding. I regret any inconvenience caused. She didn't even take direct responsibility. It was a non-apology. That woman is a lost cause, Linda said. I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to feel satisfaction, but I just felt tired. At least Michael did it, I said. Yeah, but did you see the comments? People are furious with them. I didn't want to read anymore. I closed Linda's phone and gave it back. That's enough. I don't want to know any more about them. On Thursday, Robert called. Mrs. Helen, I need to inform you of something. Olivia tried to contact me. She wants to negotiate the terms. What? She says 1 year of no contact is too much and inhumane. She says you are being cruel. I laughed. I couldn't help it. A bitter laugh. What did you tell her? I told her the terms are non-negotiable and that if she insists, we will proceed with the charges. She backed off after that. Thank you, Robert. You're welcome. Oh, and one more thing. Your son is going to therapy. I verified it with the therapist I recommended. He has attended 3 sessions already. That surprised me. Michael was following through. And how is he? I can't give you details, confidentiality, but the therapist says he's working, really working. It's a good sign, ma'am. When I hung up, I wondered, was there hope for Michael, or was it too late? On Friday, I received a letter. It came in a plain white envelope, no return address. I opened it with trembling hands. It was from Michael, handwritten. Mom, I know I can't call or see you. I understand and respect that, but I need to write this, even if you don't respond. I've been in therapy as promised. The doctor made me see things I didn't want to see. He made me face the truth, that I became someone you didn't raise, someone weak, someone who allowed the person who sacrificed the most for him to be mistreated. Olivia and I are getting divorced. It was my decision. When the therapist asked me what was more important, my marriage or my integrity, I couldn't answer, and I realized I had lost my integrity a long time ago. I'm not writing this for you to forgive me. I don't deserve your forgiveness yet. I'm writing so you know that I'm trying to be better, to be the son Dad would have wanted me to be, the son you deserve. I love you, Mom, and I'm sorry I forgot you while I was chasing things that didn't matter. Michael. The tears fell on the paper, blurring some of the words. I read it 4 more times. Linda was right. It hurt. It hurt so much. But there was something else too, a small shoot of hope, fragile, trembling, but it was there. I put the letter in the metal box next to David's. The months passed. September, October, November. I used part of the money David had saved to remodel the bathroom, which had needed repairs for years. I hired a young man from the neighborhood, Tony, my neighbor, Ms. Sue's son. He did an excellent job. I also started taking knitting classes at the community center. I met other women my age. We met on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We knitted, we talked, we laughed. One of them, Martha, told me she'd had problems with her family too. Her daughter had borrowed money and never paid her back. But I learned, she told me, that sometimes self-love is more important than family love, and that doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you a person. Her words stayed with me. In December, 2 weeks before Christmas, Robert called. Mrs. Helen, the 1-year mark is almost up. Have you thought about what you want to do? What do you mean? If you want to have contact with your son again, if you want to give him another chance. I hadn't thought about it. I had been so busy rebuilding my life, I hadn't thought about after. I don't know, Robert. I still don't know. That's fine. You have time, but be prepared. When the year is up in January, he will probably try to contact you. That night, I took out Michael's letter again. I had read it so many times, I knew every word by heart. What do I do, David? I asked the air. Do I give him another chance? Or is it too late? There was no answer, just the wind moving the curtains. The week before Christmas, Linda invited me to her house for Christmas Eve dinner. I don't want you spending Christmas alone, Helen. I won't be alone. I'll be at peace. But I accepted the invitation anyway. At Linda's dinner, her kids, grandkids, her husband, some cousins were all there. There were tamales, punch music. It was warm. It was family. Linda's youngest nephew, a boy about 6, came up to me. Are you Mrs. Helen? Yes, sweetie. My auntie says you're very brave. Is that true? I knelt down to his level. What do you think? I think so. 'Cause my mom says brave people are the ones who do the right thing, even when it hurts. I hugged him. That little boy knew more about life than most adults. That night, walking home, I went slowly. The streets were decorated with Christmas lights. I saw families eating dinner through their windows. I heard carols. I saw kids running with sparklers. And for the first time in months, I thought about Michael as a child, when he was 6 and helped me set up the nativity scene. How excited he got about Christmas, how he would hug me before bed. Where did that little boy go? When I got to my house, I found something on my doorstep. A box, not very big, with a red bow, no card, no name. I brought it inside. I opened it carefully. Inside was a photo album, old photos I hadn't seen in years. Baby Michael. Michael at his first communion. Michael graduating from high school. Michael and me at Myrtle Beach. And on the last page, a recent photo. Michael in therapy. He looked tired, worn out, but there was something different in his eyes. There was a note taped to it. Mom, I found these photos at my place. I realized I had forgotten who we were, who you were, who I was. My therapist says remembering is part of healing, so I'm remembering every day. Merry Christmas. With love, the son I'm trying to be again. Michael. I closed the album. I held it to my chest, and in the solitude of my living room, with only the light from the small Christmas tree I'd put up, I did something I didn't expect to do. I forgave, not completely, gave, not yet, but a little, just enough to think that maybe, just maybe, the circus had closed. But the story wasn't over. January came with crisp air and clear skies. January 15th marked exactly 1 year. 1 year since that call where Olivia canceled my birthday, calling it a circus. 1 year since everything started to fall apart. And it was also the day the ban I had imposed was over. 1 year, no contact. I got up early that day, made my coffee as always, but there was something different in the air, a feeling that something was about to change. At 10 in the morning, the doorbell rang. My heart sped up. I knew who it was. I opened the door slowly. It was Michael, but not the Michael I had seen a year ago. This man looked different, thinner, dark circles under his eyes. But his eyes had something I hadn't seen in a long time. Clarity. Mom, he said, his voice trembling. The year is up. I did everything. Can I come in? I stepped aside without a word. He walked in as if he were stepping on sacred ground. He looked at the living room, the furniture, the photos, like he was seeing them for the first time. The house looks beautiful, Mom. You redid the bathroom and painted the kitchen. I noticed. Everything looks alive. We sat. Him on the sofa, me in the rocking chair, keeping my distance. Mom, I've rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in my head. What I would say, how I would say it. But now that I'm here, words feel so small. I didn't answer. I just waited. I'm done with Olivia. We've been divorced for 4 months. She never agreed to go to therapy. I kept going. I've had a full year of therapy, Mom. 2 sessions a week. I know. Robert kept me informed. You knew? Yes. He was verifying that you were following the terms. Michael nodded. My therapist helped me see so many things. He helped me understand that I was so afraid of being alone after Dad died that when I found Olivia, I just latched on. And in clinging to her, I lost something more important. I lost you. Tears started to roll down his cheeks. He didn't wipe them away. He helped me see that I treated you like a resource, not a person. That I let you be humiliated because it was convenient for me. That I used your unconditional love as a weapon against you. And that I said unforgivable things to you. I never asked you to raise me. I repeated his words. That's what hurt the most, Michael. I know. And it's what I'm most ashamed of, because every time I look at those photos I gave you for Christmas, I see your sacrifice in every picture. I see you working tired, but always smiling at me. And I understand that every day of my life was possible because of your decision to love me. He broke. He cried like I hadn't seen him cry since he was a child. Forgive me, Mom. Please. I don't expect you to forgive me now, or tomorrow, or soon. But just give me a chance to show you I can be better, that I can be the son Dad wanted me to be. I got up from the rocking chair. I walked over to him. I sat down next to him. Michael, I'm going to tell you something you need to hear. I'm not going to lie and say everything is fine, because it's not. You hurt me, deeply. You let them humiliate me. You made me feel like my entire life was worthless. He sobbed harder. But I'm also going to tell you something else. You are my son, and even though you hurt me, even though you broke my heart, I am still your mother, and mothers don't abandon their children, even when their children abandon them. I put my arm around him, and in that hug there was pain, but also something else, a possible future. This doesn't mean everything goes back to the way it was, I said, because the way it was broken. We have to build something new, something healthier. Whatever it takes, Mom. Whatever you need. You're going to stay in therapy. I already have my next appointment. You're going to respect my boundaries. If I tell you no, it's no. No pressure, no manipulation. I promise. And we're going to take things slow, very slow. 1 visit a week, 1 call every 3 days, nothing more, until I can trust you again. I accept everything, Mom. We sat in silence for a moment, a different kind of silence, not tense, peaceful. Are you hungry? I asked. He smiled, a small, genuine smile. Always. I'll make something, but you're going to help me in the kitchen, like when you were little. We cooked together for the first time in years. I made quesadillas with cheese Linda had brought me from the market. Michael chopped the tomato, clumsily, like he'd forgotten how. Remember when I taught you how to do this? I asked. I was 7. I cut my finger. You cried like I'd lost my hand. We laughed. A shy, careful laugh, but it was a laugh. We ate at the dining room table, the same table where he did his homework for years. The same table where the 3 of us ate when David was alive. Mom, can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why didn't you press charges? You had all the proof. You could have sent me to jail. Why didn't you? I took a deep breath. Because you're my son, and because I wanted you to learn not to be destroyed. Jail would have made you a victim. This made you responsible. There's a difference. Michael looked down. I don't deserve your mercy. No one deserves mercy. That's why it's called mercy. He stayed until 3 in the afternoon. We talked about many things. His job, his divorce, his therapy, his plans. When he left, he hugged me at the door. Thank you for giving me another chance, Mom. Don't waste it, son. I won't. I swear on Dad's memory. I watched him walk to his car. Before he got in, he turned and waved. I waved back. I closed the door. I leaned against it. The tears fell, but they weren't sad. They were tears of something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The months went on. Michael kept his word. He came every Saturday for lunch. He called on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He never asked for money. He never pressured me for anything. In March, he bought me a new rose bush for the garden, a yellow one, to replace the one that died last year, he said. We planted it together, digging in the dirt just like I had with David all those years ago. In April, for my 71st birthday, Michael organized a dinner, small, just the 2 of us, and Linda, Bill, Robert, Diane, and Ms. Sue. There were no big speeches, no drama, just family, real family. Michael gave me a simple gift, a picture frame with a new photo, the 2 of us in the garden planting the yellow rose bush. For new memories, he said. That night, after everyone left, I sat in the garden. The stars were bright. The yellow rose bush already had its first buds. I thought about the whole journey, the pain, the betrayal, the justice, the forgiveness. I thought about Olivia. I heard through Linda that she had moved to another state, that her mother had to sell some property to pay off her debts, that she still blames me for her divorce. I didn't feel satisfaction at her downfall, but I didn't feel pity either, some